Chapter 19, Spiritual Reflections. In this section of the FIS, the ACA has the opportunity to reflect upon the relationship that he or she has with a higher power or God. Many ACAs have difficulty with coming to terms with a higher power. When they look at their past experiences and re-experience some of the pain of their childhood, it is often difficult for them to recognize and accept that a loving and caring higher power operates the universe. Many ACAs are either angry at God or refuse to think about the existence of a higher power. They ask questions like, "Why did God do this to me?" Or "How could God do this to an innocent child?" Acknowledging anger and rage at God is often the first step in developing a philosophy that is encompassing enough to allow for the existence of all things and all occurrences. Being aware and acknowledging the anger, however, is just the first step and is often not enough. The anger and rage must be shared and expressed for release to occur. Sharing these feelings of anger with other ACAs and with sympathetic religious leaders is often the key to letting go of the anger and rage that ACAs feel toward God. Trying to think through the anger and be rational about it often does nothing but repress it, and then the anger and rage will just reappear at some future point. A powerful technique of expressing this anger and rage is writing a letter to God and telling God exactly why the anger is there. This is one of the major uses of this section of the FIS. Of course, the letter is not mailed. I haven't found an earthly address yet, and is kept in this section for future reflection. Most ACAs feel very hesitant about expressing anger at God. It must be remembered, however, that with the expression of anger and rage, the release of that anger and rage often happens. It is with this release that new realms of the Spirit open for the ACA. Dialoguing with the higher power is another technique for opening up communications with a spiritual force. This technique has been used by many ACAs to reestablish a spiritual communication. Both letter writing and dialoguing have been explained in previous sections and will not be re-explained at this point. There is, however, one variation in dialoguing with your higher power, or whatever name you choose to call the spiritual force. Most ACAs find it more comfortable to leave out the creating of milestones. For many, including myself, creating milestones for the supreme creator of the universe is rather presumptuous. With this exception, the instructions for letter writing and dialoguing still stand. In this section, I have decided not to include examples of letters and dialogues written by ACAs. I have done this because I feel that each ACA has the right to explore his or her own concept of God without being influenced by either myself or others. I am confident that ACAs will find and come to some kind of peace with their spiritual aspect. I have seen this happen again and again with ACAs, and this spiritual awareness is an integrated part of recovery. The basic conflict that many ACAs feel is, if God is loving and all-powerful, then how could I have been put through so much pain as a child? This conflict is a spiritual paradox, and it is almost impossible to find an answer to this question from an external source. The answer must come from within, and the answer will come. It has been my experience, both personally and in sharing the experiences of the ACAs whom I have worked with over the years, that through active reflection, the spiritual dis-ease of ACAs is often where this resolution begins.